the October 27th joint meeting of the Glendale City Council and the Glendale Successor Agency. May we have the roll call for the City Council, please?
Council members Devine.
Here.
Friedman. Garpetian.
Here.
Sinanian.
Here.
Mayor Najarian.
Here. And for the Successor Agency?
Successor Agency members Devine.
Here.
Friedman.
Here.
Garpetian.
Here.
Sinanian.
Here.
Chair Najarian.
Here. Will you read your report?
The agenda for the October 27, 2015 joint public meeting of the City Council and the Successor Agency was posted on Thursday, October 22, 2015 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. And the next item is approval of the minutes of the Successor Agency meeting of September 15.
Is there a motion for the minutes?
I'll move that.
Second.
Okay, if there are no objections or corrections, the minutes will be accepted as submitted. Next item, please.
Next item on this agenda is Director of Community Development regarding restated and amended agreement for allocation of tax increment funds for the San Fernando Road Corridor redevelopment project. 2A is a Successor Agency resolution approving restated and amended agreement for the allocation of tax increment funds subject to the approval of the County of Los Angeles Board of Supervisors. B is a City Council resolution approving restated and amended agreement for the allocation of tax increment funds subject to the approval of the County of Los Angeles Board of Supervisors.
Mr. Ochoa.
Yes, sir. Phil Lansfam will give you a presentation in as much detail as you would like, but basically we're asking for each body, the Successor Agency City Council, to adopt a resolution that effectively would transfer the administration of these amended restated agreements from the Successor Agency to the city and thus preclude us having to include all of this administration of the pass-back monies from LA County as part of the RDA on San Fernando Road. Pass that back over to the city and keep it out of the ROPS process. We have every reason to believe County Board of Supervisors would agree with this, and thus so would the state. But in terms of the history of it, Phil, you want to give us a brief overview?
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council and Successor Agency, in fact, you have most of the information there. In 1993, the city, the redevelopment agency, and the county and several of its agencies all entered into an agreement on how we would split the tax increment. It was very common in those days. The county, rather than the agency taking 100% of that increment, we split it up with the different tax entities. The county came up with about 55% of that, the lion's share. School is the next largest share, and the agency took the rest. In 2000, we amended that agreement to, in effect, pass back to the agency 60% of the county's share. That was to do regional public improvements according to a list that we all agreed on. As Mr. Ochoa mentioned, that got caught up in the ROPS process because we had no idea back then, but the money comes to the redevelopment agency. The agreement and the obligation to build improvements lies with both the city and the agency. The agency would pay for it. The city and Public Works Department would typically build it. And it worked fine for many years. It now gets caught up in the ROPS process and becomes a bit of an administrative nightmare for the county, for the city, and for the Department of Finance. So in consultation with the department, we all agreed the best thing to do would be to have the agency assign its interest to the city, so the city is the only one in this agreement. We would still do all the same. We would get the money from the county. We'll do the same projects. We'll report to the county the same way, but it will just be the legal entity will be the city, and we can take the agency out and thereby dissolve all of that interest as was intended with the Dissolution Act. That's what this will do, this agreement will do. Again, we have worked with our counterparts in the county, and they are supportive and will be recommending approval to the board. We've worked with our counterparts at the Department of Finance, who actually gave us the roadmap to get here. That concludes my presentation.
Okay, I just have a general question. Upon taking this action, would we be in a position to dissolve the successor agency, or is there still business before?
No, there's still a lot of other business. But what this would allow you to do now is to receive that passed back funding. It's up to $74 million. We have about $14 million in our account now to do those regional improvements called out on this list without having to go to the Department of Finance and get their approval to do it. You get to make that decision when you choose to do it as a city.
And the DOF actually developed the suggestion to transfer the successor agency's interest
We
to the
did.
city.
They suggested the particular section of the law to rely on in order to do this.
Questions?
Yes. So the
Carpenter.
projects that we're going to do and it's on the list will come back to council for approval?
Typically, they would because they've got to go out for specs, to award a bid and everything. So all of those would come back to you as that part of the project.
I mean-
We just collect the money well, now it'll be every year. We'll collect from the county. It goes into a segregated account and can only be used for those projects.
Are we keeping the same account? We have 14 million in our account right now. Are we keeping the same account, or are we going to open up a new account and transfer everything into the...
It will be the same account here at the city.
The major reason that we're doing this is just the paperwork
Indeed.
that we have to do and
so-
get approval every time from the OL.
Right. So we can sidestep the whole dissolution process.
Got it. Okay.
So we have two resolutions, one for the successor agency and one for the council. Who would like to start them off?
I make the motion
For the,
for the successor agency. Which one is first, sir?
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Agency members Devine,
Yes.
Friedman,
Yes.
Garpetian,
Yes.
Sinanian,
Yes.
Chair Najarian.
Yes. And for 2B, the council resolution.
I'll move the item.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Council members Devine,
Yes.
Friedman,
Yes.
Garpetian,
Yes.
Sinanian,
Yes.
Mayor Najarian.
Yes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We're adjourned. And I'd like